POV, you're capturing your tube amp for the first time. Let's go. But first, what is an amp capture? Well, it is just like a digital snapshot or a digital profile of your amp tone. And the way that works is you provide a machine learning algorithm with a dry signal and a recorded version of that dry signal going through your amp. And the machine learning algorithm is able to calculate the difference between these two signals, and it builds a model that it can then apply to any new input signal it receives. I hope that made sense. And the cool thing is there's this free open source online algorithm called Neural Amp Modeler A2 that's just been released, this new version. That's meant to be better than the Neural DSP stuff and the Line 6, Helix and Stadium stuff. So we're gonna give that a go. And what do you need to do this? You need a DAW to record everything into. You need an audio interface. I have my trusty old Focusrite 2i2 2nd gen here. You need a reamp box to send the signals from your interface to your amp. Optionally, you need a DI box as well. It's optional, but I'll tell you in a minute why this might be useful. And you also need a microphone. I'm using the Shure SM57, a classic amp recording mic. So what exactly do we need this box for? On the reamp side, we need this because our audio interface will output a line level signal, which is also low impedance, whereas to our amp we need to send a high impedance instrument level output. So this will do both. It will convert the low impedance line level signal from our interface into a high impedance instrument level signal that will go through to our amp. This will allow us to send that bass signal from our DAW through our interface to the reamp box to the amp. I mentioned earlier that the DI part is optional, but I think it is really useful because what we can do is we can plug our guitar into here, into the input, and record the dry input into our DAW, but at the same time we can send the guitar signal to the amp and we can record that as well through the mic into the interface. So we will have the dry guitar signal and the amp recording, which we can use later for comparison, right? We can play the same DI signal through the captured amp, so we can compare how the VST of the captured amp compares with the real amp recording. On top of this, we can use that recorded dry signal and send that through the reamp box to the amp to calibrate the reamp level that we need to get the same tone through the reamp box as we would when plugging directly into the amp. That's what I did first. I have my guitar plugged into the input of the DI box. I have the through of the DI box that goes to my amp, and I have the output of the DI box on channel 1 of my interface, and then the amp mic coming on channel 2. That's all configured in software here. So guitar in is input 1, amp mic is input 2, and yeah, I just played guitar and recorded the dry signal and the amp output, which you can hear now. That's the dry signal, and this is the recorded amp. Just make sure you set the input levels of the DI and the mic to peak around -8 to -12 dB. I think it's a good recommendation. Oh, and remember to set your amp up with a tone that you want before doing all of this. Okay, so for the next part, I wanted to send that dry guitar signal to my amp via the reamp box. To do that, I had to disconnect my speakers from the outputs of the interface, and I've connected the the left output of my interface to the input of the reamp box here, and then the output of the reamp box to the amp. In the software, I created a new mixer track that has no input, and the output goes to the main output of the interface. For this particular Focusrite, it's a stereo output, so to mitigate that problem, I've just panned this channel all the way to the left, and I've made sure to disconnect the output of this mixer channel to master. So that's because the master channel is already routed to the same output, so we don't want to send that signal twice. And now if I hit play, you will hear the dry guitar signal going through my amp. Pretty cool. And this is the point where you want to calibrate the reamp level that you need to send to your amp in order for your dry guitar signal through the reamp box to produce the exact same tone that you got by plugging directly into the amp. And this is actually also the first hurdle that I ran into, because after setting the output level to max on here and then playing around with the output level of my interface, I noticed that the tone still wasn't exactly the same, and I had to bump up the level of the recording in here, and I've also normalized the dry signal here, and then I've also bumped up this channel level to the max. I don't know how much gain I've ended up at it, but yeah, quite a bit of gain to be able to match the same tone that I was getting by plugging directly in. The other thing was that when bumping this output level of my interface up, I got this hiss from the amp, which you might be able to hear. So I actually ended up recording with the output level of the interface to about this much, pointing it to the LED here. I believe with some other interfaces you can directly route the signal from your DAW to the output without having it go via this potentiometer essentially, which I think would be better for this use case. I forgot to mention that toggling this ground lift in either position didn't seem to help at all, but you can try that if you do get a hum on yours. Also, I noticed that if I unplug the DI output from here, the hum got worse. So I don't know what that is about, but I kept that plugged in. I guess I should also mention the mic positioning used to record the amp. I used the cap edge position, and I kept it straight on axis at about 1 or 2 inches from the grill, and I used the flashlight trick to find this position. So at this point, you've calibrated the reamp level on your reamp box, on your interface. You're ready to start the capture. So you want to head over to tone3000.com. You want to create tone, capture, and this will take you to a page where you can download a sweep signal, and this is what the machine learning model will use as the base. It's basically some alien noises that go through all the different frequencies, so the machine learning model has everything that it needs to analyze and create an accurate version of your amp. And then you want to load a sweep signal into your DAW. You want to route it to the same 2 amp channel that we used before to send the DI signal to the amp. And you want to arm the amp mic channels for recording, and you want to start recording, making sure to make a recording that's the same length as the sweep or longer. I think if it is longer, the website will just stream the remainder. So you can do that, and then you arm the recording and press play. If you found during the calibration that you need to boost the input level by a certain number of dBs, make sure to do the same thing to the sweep signal as well. So if you've done your first recording, you need to remember that this is just capturing those particular settings of your amp. So you might want to rename the recording to denote what settings those were, so you don't forget. And then you might want to change the settings of your amp and then do some more recordings by replaying the same sweep signal through your amp. Then you can just grab that file, drag it onto the website. At this point, if you've not done something right, you'll get an error. And you can also play around with the advanced settings here. You can change the max epochs. This is the number of times the model trains on your audio. Just set it to the max, why not? And there's some other calibration options that I've just left as default here. You can put the model name here. It's recommended to put it in this format where you record what settings you are recording. Then you click next. This you can create a new tone pack here. Let's say we can just rename it as something, and then you get a whole bunch of like information about the amp that you can enter. So what were you recording? An amp plus cab in this case, make and model. You can upload a photo. You can put a description, add tags, web links, blah blah blah, and then you can select whether you want this to be private or public. After submission, you will see that the model will start training on the Tone 3000 websites, so you will have to wait for it to render here. When it's done, it will look something like this, and there's a good video from the Tone 3000 people kind of showing this process as well, but what you want to look for here is a low ESR number. The closer to 0, the better. And I'll put a diagram up here of like the different targets. And if you go up here, you can then actually listen to the model directly on the website, and you can play around with different types of guitar inputs, and you can select one of your models, and you can listen to it here. Pretty cool. And with that, your capture should be done. I've managed to get a low ESR number from the first try, but I will definitely share the video from the Tone 3000 YouTube channel because I think it gives a bit more detail and a bit more background into why we want to do it this way and different options that are available. But I really wanted to show my process of how I did it and maybe shed a bit more light into setting the levels right for the reamping, because I think their video didn't cover that as much. In a follow-up video, I will do the comparison between the recorded amp tone and the tone that we get via the NAMM A2 VST, so stay tuned for that. But thank you very much if you've watched this far, and I hope this is useful for you. So yeah, peace out.